Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 2 in the series, Where Are You Shopping in Your Relationships? So, today we're going to talk about the art of parting ways in a market that standardizes disconnection. We live in a culture that has standardized the sudden disappear and disconnect. Ghosting has become the default setting for modern relationships. When things get uncomfortable, heavy, or out of alignment, the system tells us simply to flip a switch, treat the other person like an expired commodity, and vanish into thin air. But ghosting isn't just bad manners, it's a profound failure of empathy and a refusal to face emotional discomfort. So, we're going to talk about this today. I'm Mariquita Solis, the Uncaged Heart Coach, and I guide successful men to win the soul war between their public mask and private disconnection. My background is in residential treatment center for boys, where I identify the childhood survival programs that become the adult cages of today. I coach men to retire the outdated armor, resolve core shame, and build integrated strength, reclaiming the true power and fire found only in radical authenticity. And that's what we're going to be doing today. My teammate here is Linda Tilson. She's a consummate accounting professional who is deeply fascinated by the human experience and the patterns that shape behavior. She encourages individuals to embrace authenticity by choosing lives rooted in alignment with their core values, clarity, and personal integrity. So, yes, integrity and authenticity are what is so important for this foundation of this series. And I want to start out by saying, I know it may look like me and Linda are saints, but we're not. We're far from it. I mean, we've been through the journey of life. We're not here to judge anyone. We're here to support you all. I mean, we've made the missteps of hurting people. We've done all the, just the typical ways of being in relationships. And so we're here today to share our wisdom, and we want to hear from you, your questions and comments. If you're watching and you're watching on the replay, please let us know what you think.
Thank you for that introduction there and setting the stage really that we're here to bring awareness and use our lived experience, as Mariquita has said, to be able to help. And you know what? We don't know everything either. And a lot of these times when we're having these discussions, somebody will come online and join us in the comments and they will offer a gift of wisdom for us to take in. So we're all about sharing different perspectives and experiences because we know two people standing side by side are going to have lived differently and have a different lens on many different things.
Right. And I'll start out by saying, Linda, now we're talking about a dating market. So, what do you know about the dating world? You've been married for, decades. So, what do you have to offer here?
So it's funny that you say that because I get so much backlash by Linda. How the hell can you come in and have have any idea what happens in the dating market? And I will say you're right. You're right. I don't know what happens. I can only say what happens just in the interactions that I have, in the relationships that I build. It's very much like the dating market, I believe, because even as adults, when we're creating friendships and you make friends with somebody and then you think everything's all going great until that one day it isn't. They just fade off or don't respond to your text or your call, and you're like, what the hell just happened here? So yes, I don't understand because I'm not looking for a partner in that sense of the word. But I am, like everyone else, still building relationships. Relationship building is something you do for your whole entire life. So that's where I have that frame. And you know what? If I've been married for over 30 years, I must be doing something right, right?
Surely, yeah. Surely you got a little bit of wisdom. We'll give you credit, Linda. No, I'm just
All
kidding.
right.
Yeah, this is going to be a great conversation. So yeah, when we're talking about ghosting, that's happened to me before, where I just felt like I felt sick about it, honestly. Where I was dating someone and they just completely dropped off, and I didn't know what to think. I mean, I knew how I felt, horrible.
Yeah, and that's really just it. When somebody does just drop off, and everything seems good until it isn't, all of these things go through your mind of, first you're like sad, sickened, angry in some cases, and then you're like, oh, well, maybe something's really going on with them. I better go back and check. So you really do go through all of the different emotions, and a lot of it could be avoided if if you go on a date with somebody and everything seemed great in that moment, and everyone else thought the same thing too, the two people on the date, and you changed your mind, or you realized that you couldn't meet them where they wanted you to, or you realize that maybe I don't have time to do this, then there's nothing wrong with letting the person know when they contact you at some point, yes, we had a great time, but right now I'm realizing I can't do this. And so I just wanted to share that with you. That is so much better and nicer, because what people will do on the other side of it is their brain will take that gap in their experience and try to solve it. I don't know a person on the planet that wouldn't try to figure out what has happened. Even if they're the most secure person, they're still going to scratch their head, and wonder what has just happened here.
Well, that is very true. And sometimes, I mean, there was that one case where this guy ghosted me, and I messaged him like, I think I messaged him every week. And finally, I don't know how many weeks, right? I mean, this was years ago, probably, I don't know how many, or 15 years ago. And he did finally respond and apologized for ghosting me. Because I really didn't think this guy was, I thought, gosh, well, this guy's a professional man. He's not going to be ghosting. I mean, I held him up to a higher standard, but we're all human beings. So, like I said, we're not here to judge. So, I mean, I know I have ghosted someone in the past. I mean, I'm not perfect. I'm not a saint, like I said. So, but yeah, I don't. It's hard to wrap your head around it sometimes.
It is. And so, walking in somebody else's shoes makes me want to see, okay, let's say I'm the person that has entered in this dating arrangement, or relationship building arrangement. And I'm thinking, wow, this person's wonderful and great. And then, I'm thinking, gosh, do I have time to commit to, uh, going out every week, participating in their life, and actually taking the relationship that I'm building on it. And I'm thinking, oh gosh, I don't know if I can really do that. I don't think that I can, and I just don't want to disappoint this person. So, but I'm so afraid to admit that I made this misstep in going in this direction. And now what do? I just don't want to hurt this person's feelings, but I'm like feeling embarrassed and shameful that I'm even having these thoughts. Well, when a person starts doing that and they're going down that road of, how do I fix this, because I want to do the right thing, but yet I'm don't necessarily want to admit it, or whatnot. The best thing that a person could say, because you don't need to say a lot, you could say, I appreciate the connection we shared, but I don't really feel aligned and able to continue building it further with you. And I really want to communicate that directly, rather than just fade out and not say anything.
Yeah, I love that. And it's being very honest. I mean, like you could also say, I respect you too much to not tell you, right? I think I really appreciate who you are, and I want to be respectful to you, and you deserve honesty.
Yes, and so we're making it sound really simple here, but you know how we can do this, because we have both been on both sides of this in some shape or form. Where maybe, I don't know if I've ever really ghosted anybody, but I may not have communicated what needed to be said, which is a little bit different conversation that we can have on one of our lives. However, you hit upon something that the person on the other side, when you don't speak to them, then they think that you don't think enough of them to give them the truth. That's ultimately what causes this uh, problem to even exist. And just saying something or acknowledging. Now I'm going to go flip back to the other side, because I like flipping back and forth between the two, to give each of these issues something that we can think about. Now, you had mentioned that you message a person every week for several weeks because you're like, what's going on here? Sometimes, sometimes we have to remember that somebody could be going through something hard or difficult. Now, they can still reach out, I would think, but not everyone operates in the way that we do. Let's say their parent died and they left the state and they're doing that. They're probably not. If you just met them, they just met you. They're probably not going to reach out to every person they talk to say where they were. So knowing that, you could do what you would describe as where you pace. So maybe you might wait a week, then you might wait 2 or 3 weeks, and then after the second attempt, if they're not contacting you and you've said nicely something to the fact like, I've noticed you've been silent, you haven't gotten back to me. Come back when you're ready. And when you're ready, let's talk about how we want to handle this differently going forward. You could do something along. I don't know if I'd said that exactly how I would say it, but that's something to that effect, because that is not putting pressure on that other person. You're not putting any blame that, why have you been contacting me? I message you. What the heck's going on? You don't want to give that off energy off, because something may be coming on in their life where they really truly can't. So you don't want to just cut somebody off or be too aggressive in that way either, because that's not going to help anybody. But just saying you noticed, and that when they're ready or able, that they could come back.
Yeah, that's what I've said before also. Let me know when you're ready to talk, and then it'll be a peaceful conversation. So, yeah, and I don't, yeah. So, and then I wait, right? But that's very beautiful. And one thing that hurt me before was the pull away. People saying to me, guys saying to me, "Oh, well, I pulled away so you would get the message." And I mean, what in the world? I mean, I'm like, right now, I feel sick saying it, pulling away instead of being direct, which I didn't even understand. What do you mean? Why wouldn't you just say to me something? I mean, instead of, or whatever. I don't want to talk. You talk, Linda. I'm getting
Well, I was
flustered.
going to say the reason why they may not say something, for two reasons. They don't want to hurt your feelings. They could have a hard time facing conflict. And so the thought of even telling somebody that they changed their mind or they're not interested, it's easier, they think, to just let the person down lightly by just fading out. And to some degree, if you just met somebody, maybe that could happen. You will eventually get the hint. But some of us that relates and attach strongly right away, that won't work for me. For example, if you just fade off of me and not, you're gonna have to be direct and just say, Linda, you're a nice person, you're attentive, and I enjoyed the time we had. However, I don't think you're it for me. I mean, yes, that's going to be like, okay, I'm not it for you. Okay, that's fine. All right, I can move on. But I'd rather do that and be disappointed in hearing that than to have somebody leave and not really say anything and thinking that I'm going to get it. We a lot of times think that people read our minds and they will just get it. And it's always so hard to know when to. We're going to talk about this too. When do you let a relationship go? I mean, it could be something like what we're talking about with this ghosting and not getting communication, but it also could be a relationship that has reached its expiration, because not everyone stays in with us for a lifetime. Sometimes they are a season or an experience or some other shorter time.
Yeah, that's true. And I know what you mean, because for me, if someone kind of, let's just say they say, oh, well, I'm busy because of this. And it doesn't seem rational for me, but I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. And they might think, oh, well, didn't she get the message? Right. So, I mean, because where people aren't the same, it's better to definitely be direct. And it doesn't have to be harsh, like you're saying. Directness is
Mhm.
beautiful. I mean, when we honor everyone, and those conversations, every time we get a chance to be authentic and direct, that's just practicing and building on these steps of communication for the next time, because it's not going to be so frightening the next time.
You're absolutely right. You know, it's building that muscle, that resiliency muscle to have the difficult conversations. Because I will tell you, I've had a lot of difficult conversations in my life, and I feared all these things happening, and none of the things happened. Had the conversation, it went well, and then I'm like, oh, this is not bad. I can do this, and so it's getting over that fear of having the difficult conversation, and it's trusting in yourself to have that conversation, and I guess one other thing that I would want to add to this whole conversation is if you find yourself in this situation where maybe the person doesn't communicate directly, because not everyone does, and it seems like they're fading out and not coming, and you've made a solid attempt to give some pacing and some space, and you said what you needed to say, and they don't come back. You know what you do? You just go and do your own life, and if they come back, you can revisit the conversation then. And but chances are what has happened is that, as much as you don't want to, I guess, accept it, it's opened up the space for somebody to else that come in, or maybe the people that are in your life already, that you can just expand with them. And so, I always find that whenever something flows out, something flows in. It flows out, flows in. And once you get used to that, then life is better. And so respect yourself, and you don't need to change your expectations of how you communicate, because maybe that person just doesn't communicate the way that you do, where you can grow together, and so that person wouldn't be good for you anyway. So and so, yes, we don't like to think that we're not good for someone or someone's not good for us, but that's part of that filtering process that happens, and it's part of life. You learn and grow. We move forward, and yeah, I wanted to add that piece, because I think that that's the piece that I've had to learn. People will leave. People will not choose to expand and build a relationship with me, and that's okay.
Yeah, it is okay. It doesn't mean anything about either one of y'all. It just means that you don't sync. So that's really what you're looking for, someone you sync with. And I think also you can be direct. Like if I was starting to feel like, are they pulling away? Now, how could I directly ask them and just simply say, I'd like to check in? But we should always be checking in with our partners, right? How is this feeling, right? I mean, it seems like you're very busy. I mean, is this relationship, is this the time for it? Now that's a way of asking without it being personal. Maybe this isn't a good time for our relationship, or this isn't maybe it's not working. I mean, it's to be able to be direct is another thing to practice if the other
It
person
definitely
won't be.
is. It definitely is a good thing to practice. They will teach you, even in leadership training, that the direct communicator is going to get the answers that they need to make their decisions quicker and faster than the person that's trying so much to soften it and be ambiguous about what needs to happen. The relationships are the same way. And I had to laugh and chuckle this morning when I had sent you a message. And you're like, oh, Linda, were you sending me that? Were you trying to tell me something? And I'm like, no, I was not trying to tell you something, because I actually clarified after I sent the first example of what I wanted to share. And I said, this is an example of what I'd like to share. And I'm like, I am so glad that I did that and that you read that piece, because I thought, oh no.
That was too funny because he had said something. Have
Too
you
early in
gone
the
silent?
morning. We needed our coffee. But yeah.
Yeah, and then you find out how that person is. I mean, these are little. I mean, just shows you how the other person is going to be able to communicate and have conflict or have things that are not. I mean, how do they handle this, right? I mean, are they going to run away from it or just be direct and honest? And ultimately, we have to have people that are direct, or we'll just swim around in circles forever, not get anywhere, and be confused and take things personally. And then maybe it's true. Maybe it's not that they're pulling away, but if we have the conversation, we know, and I could think, wow, they're pulling away, but really they're just busy. I mean, we're in such a needy society, I want to say, and I don't want to make anybody feel bad, but I mean, there's a lot of neediness and a lot of, we need this quick responses, quick responses. So if we text someone and we don't hear for hours, then we might think they're pulling away, but really they've been in a business meeting for 3 hours, right? And so having that communication and not immediately jumping to to assumptions and giving people the benefit of the doubt. That's why it's so important to have the lines of communication open and to ask people how do you feel about your communication style? I mean, that might be scary to ask, but it's very direct and I think it's wonderful when you can have those kind of conversations because it shows the person that you take relationships seriously when you ask those questions about how do we show up, right? I mean, if you have someone that says, "What the heck are you talking about?" It's going to be like, okay, maybe we won't be on the right frequency.
And that's very much can happen. And, I can think about all the different friendships along the way that I've made, for example. And that's one of the first things I'm going to ask is, do you prefer to text? Do you prefer to do, a weekly check-in or call, or would you rather just do it more unscheduled? Because I have some people that say, I don't want to schedule a freaking Zoom meeting. Just pick up the phone and call me. I've got other people that love to connect every day, so that it's a shared thing. You send a couple of texts every day, we check in, and that's good. Other people be like, no, please do not send me a big thing of wall chat, because that is going to inundate me. It's going to make me feel pressured, and I just don't have the capacity or bandwidth to have it coming at me. I mean, some people will say that about the voice notes. Like, I think using voice notes when you are connecting with a person, you can connect far away and you feel really connected. But other people are like, well, you sent me all these voice notes and I couldn't listen to them because I was in a public place. And so now I have no idea what you just said. So now I got to go back and through, miles long chats to figure out what it is that you said, and then find the time that I can actually reach back out to you, remember what you had said in the first place. These are real conversations that do happen, and I can laugh because the people that do the best in this, or this, have the security and safety in knowing that they can ask their friend or their partner what their preferences are, and do it in a way that it helps both people, because sometimes you'll find out very interesting things, and that can change and shift as you evolve in any relationship. So asking early and often what's going on, and sometimes people won't tell you. They won't tell you that they're irritated that you're communicating in a certain way, and so you kind of like, something's. And then you just like, it sounds like you're not really liking me sending the voice notes. Can you tell me about that? And then they will, and then they're like, well, I can't respond to them because I'm in a public place, and so it doesn't make sense to do that. And I'm like, okay, no problem. And that can change, even in day to day or week to week. So you got to have the care. You care enough about the person that you're with that you can have these discussions, and you can shift and change as you choose to.
Right. And that brings it all back to the reason not to ghost. I mean, when you have the communication from the beginning and agree to that, you can even talk about it on the first date. If you're dating or first thing, whatever, first interaction, I don't know how I would say. I'm gonna just say I've been ghosted or I've been, let down, and so I really want to honor this relationship. I'm happy to meet you, and I want to let you know that I'm going to be honest with you during this relationship. And my gosh, what a relief that is! I wish someone would say that to me.
Yes,
it's like, oh, thank God, someone that values it. You know what I mean? Someone that is showing a moral code of holding this in a higher place than just the throwaway. Which, I mean, and that's one thing that we didn't really touch on. Them people are not objects to be thrown away, right? I mean, we are human beings with heart, and we have feelings.
yes. And the whole what you just said, I definitely advocate for. The first time you meet somebody, have these conversations about frequency and format of communication, and what you would want to have happen. And so you don't necessarily have to say, I've been ghosted in the past, and so I have real issues of people that enter my life and leave. That is a true statement. But I just would say, I prefer that if you have anything to say, rather than not saying, I'd rather have you tell me and I know and I hear it from you directly than to ever assume or wonder what's going on. That would help support me in our relationship. Would you be willing to do that with me?
Yeah, I mean, this is
And
very, very important things, and a lot of times we get. I myself would get caught up in the physical, like, oh my gosh, this guy's so good looking, and I would just everything would fly out the window. But having some sort of rational grounding, right, is very important.
yes, when you're activated in the moment with the attraction and the excitement of what's going on, yes, your brain can have this thing to go out the window. What you would normally do is taking a step back and looking at the going on as a silent film, you would notice that that was going on. And so just having a plan of how you'd like to go into the meeting, the date, and really, knowing what you value. I mean, we talked about that in the first episode of our series, that knowing what you value and what your preferences are, and not just keeping them in your mind and expecting the person to just know, just communicating them and then asking them to do the same. That's the kicker, because it's not enough just for us to share our values and preferences, but to invite and ask the other person to share theirs. You'd be surprised what you would find out when you take the first 5 minutes of a new connection and do that exercise. I think it changes the trajectory, and you might find out that this person is not going to align with you in the way that they go about the world, and that's okay, because we all can have the right to change our mind after getting to know someone. That's why you're getting to know someone. That's why you're having talks, because you don't. I mean, oh, you're going to see what's on the outside before you get to see what's on the inside at that soul level that you've been referring to.
Right. We cannot just base everything on the physical. I mean, we can, but what's going to happen? I mean, have found out the hard way what happens, and it's not pleasant. So when we take the time to ask the questions and not be afraid of the questions, we want to be able to see who can hold the space for having a honest, authentic dialogue, which it's not going to guarantee there will be no ghosting or none of these games, but it's going to set a different kind of stage and an awareness. So,
Yes, it sets the expectation of what you need in the relationship to feel safe, valued, to be your authentic self. And you said something earlier that stayed in my mind, and I wanted to make sure to circle back to it. And the fact that you said that you were ghosted by a man that was a professional and knew how to act and be and communicate and all of that, and you're like, what the heck happened? We're human. I want to add something to that, because that is true. We're all human. And the thing that I wanted to add to that is that just because your values or preferences of how you want to interact are different than somebody else's does not make either person bad. Because I want to take that out of there. It does not make anyone bad. It just means they're just not in congruence or alignment, and how you could come together. And wouldn't you want to find that out early on, rather than finding out 6 months later that you have invested a part of your who you are, your time, your care, and then it just doesn't work out? You would have liked to have known that earlier. So that's the beauty in all of this, is having those conversations, being aware of what's coming up, and knowing that you can change your mind. But we're just advocating, both of us are advocating, communicate that to the other person out of kindness. Clarity is kindness.
right. And yeah, they're not, I would say there's no bad people. We make choices that are not the best. So, think and choose the kind way to communicate. And that's what we're advocating for, kindness, where no one gets hurt, because it's not fun when you're living out there and you're just like, where did they go? So this is, I feel like we really covered a lot here. If you're watching, please let us know. We are going to wrap it up. And next week's discussion is going to be on how to take responsibility when you misstep. And again, it's not you're a bad person. It's not anything about you. We all make I mean, choices that aren't the best. Okay. And how do we come back from that? How do we take responsibility? Because I feel kind of stressed out thinking about like, oh gosh, now I have to take responsibility. But that's what we're going to be delving into next week. How do we do that with dignity for everyone? So, any final thoughts, Linda? You've given us a lot
Oh,
of
I'm
good.
looking forward to that conversation because the taking the accountability and having that self leadership to do that. Again, another one of the skills that we're going to talk about. How do you lead yourself to make good decisions, when things happen and you may not have done the right thing? I have stories that I probably can pull out of my memory bank and share to some to some situations where I had to I had to be accountable that, yeah, there's a change that needs to happen. And yes, I'm going to do it. And thank you very much, dear person, for sharing with me that I had this opportunity where I could grow.
Yes, self-awareness. So we'll be tackling this conversation next week. When we'll let you know when. Please make sure you're subscribing and watching. We'll be posting when our next live will be, and let us know what you'd like for us to talk about because we really are open to hearing and learning from you all too. So put your comments and questions in the chat. And thank you so much, Linda. This has been, as usual, a basket of wisdom.
It certainly has. Thank you for inviting me to lead in the conversation with this.
All right. We'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.